Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Tracking showers moving across the area. It is likely these will stick around for the evening, but not everybody's going to see a lot of rain out of this system. I'll show you.
Plus, the Raleigh Christmas Parade is coming up this Saturday, and floats will roll once again. We'll tell you what participants must agree to take part.
Plus, North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis appeals to fellow lawmakers for help for his home state ahead his quest for additional federal disaster relief money. Rain will continue through this afternoon and evening as a cold front crosses our area. That is a dark Durham behind us. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. It looks more like 5 p.m. out there. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at how much rain we'll see before it's all over, Elizabeth.
You know, it's an interesting situation because we started seeing rain early this morning. The rain may last up until middle of the evening, maybe 9, 10, 11 o'clock. But the amounts in the rain gauge are going to be pretty minimal because the rain's just been fairly light. We're now seeing it moving out of the triangle along and east of I-95 and toward the coast. But there will likely be more waves that come along a little later on today. Notice Durham and Raleigh mostly dry. Could be just a little drizzle or a few sprinkles. Rocky Mount, Red Oak Enfield, especially moving on out toward Edgecombe County. That's where we're seeing some showers. We also see some down to the south too. Benson's a little wet right now. Smithfield, Goldsboro, you're seeing some of those showers pulling on away. But again, even though it looks like it's pulling on out, we're not finished with it. The cold front right now is still well to our west. We'll widen out the view and you can see it's back here in Asheville. That cold front has to scoot all the way through before we start to see drying conditions. So you can see that rain in the eastern part of the state right now. And then, of course, at 5 o'clock, another round of showers. And then with the front itself, around 9 to 10 o'clock, we begin to see that last bit of rain. And then we start to clear out. Once we clear out, the cold air is going to come spilling in. Again, we're not looking at a whole lot of rain out of this system, probably, a tenth to maybe a quarter of an inch. Behind it, our winds tomorrow as well as Friday and Saturday are likely to gust around 25 to 35 miles per hour. So it's going to be blustery and cold along with that. We take a look at how temperatures drop this evening. This is a look at wind chill. So at 8 o'clock, it'll feel like 55. That's not too bad. But by 7 a.m. tomorrow, it's going to feel like 37 degrees and even colder as we get into the rest of the week. I'll show you coming up.
With this year's Raleigh Christmas Parade 3 days away now, we are learning about a new mandatory waiver for participants. The city of Raleigh is requiring people to sign that waiver, releasing the city from blame should something happen to them. WRAL's Sean Gallagher is along the parade route right now. And Sean, it's impossible not to think about Haley Brooks when we hear about this.
And Jeff, it'll surely be on the minds of anybody walking in this parade. One of the first things they'll see on this route is this memorial for Haley Brooks right near where she was killed about 2 years ago. A reminder of the worst case scenario for participants in this parade. But now, none of them can lay blame on the city should they get injured or killed during this event. Every single participant in this parade had to sign this waiver where it says the individual, their child, or really anyone connected to them for generations to come cannot sue the city if they're injured or killed in this parade. Haley Brooks was killed here 2 years ago yesterday when she was hit by a truck in the parade. Her family has since filed a lawsuit against a number of different parties, adding the city of Raleigh to its lawsuit last month. NC Central law professor Irving Joyner tells me this waiver is pretty standard, whether it's for participating in something like a parade or even going somewhere like a gym or really any group activity space.
It's an acknowledgement of an assumption of the risk that where the person has voluntarily engaged in participating in this type of event, that they assume any risk of harm that might occur during that event. So it's very much the same type thing, except it is executed on behalf of the municipality.
And some new changes for this year's parade. It'll be the first to allow vehicles back in the parade for the first time since 2022, requiring new age requirements for drivers and also safety inspections for any vehicles that'll be on this roadway. Sean Gallagher, WRAL News in Raleigh.
And you can join WRAL for a Triangle tradition as we kick off the holiday season with the live broadcast of the 80th annual Raleigh Christmas Parade. We'll bring it to you, all the marching bands, the local businesses, dazzling floats, and everyone's favorite Santa Claus. Don't miss a minute of the excitement. We'll get you in the holiday spirit. Watch this Saturday starting at 9 o'clock right here on WRAL.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, almost 30 years after being convicted of killing her two young sons, Susan Smith is up for parole in South Carolina. This is a live look at her parole hearing right now. She is serving life in prison. She went on trial back in 1995. She told police back then a black man had carjacked her and kidnapped her children. She later confessed to letting her car roll down a boat ramp and into a lake, killing both of her sons. The board must approve parole with a simple majority vote in order to release her. We're also expecting to hear from her ex-husband, David Smith. He's expected to speak. If denied release, she could reapply in 2 years.
We'll definitely let you know what happens with the parole board here. One of North Carolina's U.S. senators is calling for more federal money to Western North Carolina this morning. WRAL's Noah Klein is here now with how Senator Thom Tillis hopes to get more help to the area. Noah.
Renee, Tillis testified in front of the Appropriations Committee this morning. He talked about the need for help in Western North Carolina, as well as Florida, which is where he grew up. Tillis said he supports the $100 billion the Biden administration has already requested for help. He called Helene the most significant natural disaster our state has gone through in his time as an elected leader. Tillis says while getting help now is important, he also wants his colleagues to consider some of the long-term plans here.
We've got to react differently to storms. This may be the first, but it won't be the last like we've seen in North Carolina, and we owe it to the American people to be ready to do better. Thank you.
Just last week here, Tillis asked for unanimous consent on a Helene relief bill. This one was specifically for small businesses. His Republican colleague, Senator Rand Paul, opposed it. Tillis then accused Paul of grandstanding for an amendment to the bill that he knew simply wouldn't pass. Tillis warned lawmakers delaying this relief money could lead to Western North Carolina businesses closing. He says they just don't have enough money to get through the winter after Helene wiped out fall tourism in that area.
Noah, thanks. House Bill 10 is one vote away from becoming law. The measure would clear 54,000 students from a wait list to use a voucher to attend private schools. The state Senate is expected to follow the lead of the Republican-controlled House. Lawmakers voted 72-44 to override Democratic Governor Roy Cooper's veto. Cooper and critics argue the money could pay for operating costs in rural areas as well as teacher salaries. The bill also contains an unrelated immigration enforcement effort. It would require sheriffs to comply with requests from federal immigration agents and detain people suspected of being in this country illegally. Republicans say it is needed to ensure public safety. Democrats say it'll strain resources on sheriff's offices and hurt relations with immigrant communities.
An art display on East Franklin Street in Chapel Hill is being removed. 3 banners hanging from the old post office building at the Peace and Justice Plaza sparked controversy because one banner features a person wearing a keffiyeh. Chapel Hill Town Manager Chris Blue says, intentional or not, the piece is evoking strong feelings for many about the conflict between Palestine and Israel, especially for those who are close to Chapel Hill native Keith Siegel, who remains in captivity in Gaza. And he released a statement a short time ago that reads in part, while I strongly feel that public art should be thought-provoking, I don't believe it should cause harm. And right now, this piece is causing harm. That statement by Chapel Hill's town manager, Chris Blue. The House Ethics Committee meets today to discuss whether to release its report on President-elect Donald Trump's pick for Attorney General Matt Gaetz. The committee has been investigating allegations of sexual misconduct and illicit drug use against Matt Gaetz. He resigned from the House last week after Trump chose him for Attorney General. His nomination would require confirmation from the Senate. Senators have called for access to the report's findings as they decide whether to approve him.
And following some breaking news right now in the WRAL Live Center, the man accused of killing Laken Riley as she jogged through the woods at University of Georgia in February has been convicted of murder. This is him in court today. Jose Ibarra was found guilty on all counts, including murder, kidnapping with bodily injury, as well as several other charges. He is an undocumented immigrant from Venezuela. Riley was a former UGA student. She was jogging in the Oconee Forest Park back on February 22nd. Ibarra struck her in the head with a rock and strangled her to death. Prosecutors have said they would seek a punishment of life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Men and women who have lost a loved one to drunk driving gathered in Washington, D.C. to push lawmakers to do more to prevent drunk driving crashes. Mothers Against Drunk Driving held a vigil on the National Mall, lighting 10,000 candles to represent the number of lives that could be saved each year by the HALT Act. That act requires the U.S. Department of Transportation to require anti-drunk driving technology to be standard in all new vehicles.
Because in the memory of our son, we want to make sure that this doesn't happen to any other family. It's devastated our lives. And the technology is there to stop this completely.
The vigil comes just days after the transportation missed a deadline to issue new regulations regarding the technology.
Next at noon, the world premiere of the movie Rust, 3 years after cinematographer Helena Hutchins was accidentally shot and killed on set, where the movie will make its debut.
Also, a once-in-a-decade bomb cyclone swept across the Northwest. One person is dead. Hundreds are without power. Where it is headed next.
Plus, highlighting the urgent needs of the people of Buncombe County in western North Carolina, what lawmakers are trying to do to get them help from Helene.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
The indie Western film Rust gets a world premiere 3 years after cinematographer Helena Hutchins was accidentally shot dead on the set by actor Alec Baldwin. People went to that screening today at an international film festival in Poland. Hutchins' mother said she's boycotting the movie opening, calling it an attempt by Baldwin to unjustly profit from her daughter's death. The involuntary manslaughter charge against Baldwin was dismissed this summer. The armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, was convicted of involuntary manslaughter and is serving an 18-month sentence.
Police in Colorado are searching for the person responsible for some road signs that have been turning heads on the highway. Officers found signs around the city with a vulgar message that we've chosen to blur. Although police say the point might be valid, it's a crime to tamper with road signs.
Definitely appreciate the gesture behind, I think, what they were intending to do. But, like we said, it is a crime. And, there's definitely other means that people could take to try to let us know of these behaviors.
And choose your words carefully. Transportation workers have removed at least 4 signs since being notified.
There's been a big difference in the rain totals we have seen since before Hurricane Helene versus after. Meteorologist Chris Michaels has been reading over a study that shows the potential link between hurricanes and drought.
There was a study from Florida State University in 2022 that looked at storms from 2000 to 2018. And after those storms made landfall, drought in their wake was actually kind of rare. But some of the storms that it happened after was Umberto, Isaac, Matthew, and Harvey. And a lot of times it coincided with an already existing drought. But here's why hurricanes could lead to at least a brief dry spell. Especially on the west side of hurricanes and tropical systems, the air sinks. And when you have that, you have a clear sky and drier weather. So let's look at Helene's path as an example and now look to the west of it. You see that drought that right now still exists in Mississippi, Alabama, parts of Georgia and Tennessee. Thing is, that drought was already there. It's just that the storm may have actually kept it reinforced there. So that's one of those things that may actually be studied moving forward. Now, in terms of our weather, there's a clear difference between the rain we saw in the 2 months before Helene and the 2 months afterward. In Raleigh, just alone, 2 months prior to Helene, we saw more than close to 2 feet of rain. So far since Helene, we've seen only about 2 inches of rain. We have more on this study right now on WRAL.com.
At least one person is dead, hundreds of thousands without power after a once-in-a-decade bomb cyclone swept across the Northwest. A bomb cyclone occurs when a cold air mass collides with a warm air mass, which is something that can occur over oceans. A woman in her 50s was killed when a large tree fell on a homeless encampment. The system is expected to stall along the coast and hammer the region with hazardous conditions through the week and into the weekend. Just wild weather in many parts of the country right now.
Different system moving through our area. It's going to bring some cold later into tomorrow. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Rain for now, though.
We take another look at Dual Doppler 5000 radar. This rain is moving out pretty quickly. Most of the showers starting to push east of I-95 or down into our southern county. So the rain that we saw earlier around the triangle is over at least for a little while. We'll zoom in and take a close look at where we're still seeing some rain moving through Edgecombe County and out of here. A little bit of rain down to the south as well. So seeing some showers around Smithfield over toward Goldsboro and maybe a sprinkle or two around Fayetteville. But this round will move on out. There hasn't been a whole lot of rain. We talked at the beginning of the newscast about the fact that we started seeing rain in the viewing area really early this morning. And here it is lunchtime. We have seen over here in Goldsboro about 1/4 of an inch of rain. Most places have only been about 1/10 of an inch of rain. Now, of course, we still have hours left to go of the potential for some rainfall, but I wouldn't expect to see anything really much over 1/4 of an inch because we're just going to see some light showers. We'll widen out the view and take a look again at where our cold front is. Our cold front has to move across our area before we'll actually end up seeing the colder air arriving and before we'll clear things out. But you can see that front moving through the triad area at this point. You can see as we roll that ahead in time. Futurecast showing just these scattered showers moving on out as we get closer to, say, 1 or 2 o'clock. Around 5 o'clock, expect there to be some scattered showers for the evening commute. And then as the cold front approaches us around 8:39, 10 o'clock, we'll see another round of rain. And then we should be finished with it by around 11 o'clock or so. And then we start to clear out and the winds will start to pick up. Take a live look at downtown Raleigh. The streets are definitely wet, but no rain falling right now. Some folks have gathered for what looks like a news conference there here as we take a look from our Jimmy V camera. 64 degrees is our temperature. Our dew point's at 61, so there's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere currently. And temperatures are in the low to mid 60s, 65 Fayetteville, 63 degrees up in South Hill. This afternoon, we could top out at around 70 in Raleigh, 69 in Durham, and 73 down in Fayetteville. The cold air arrives early tomorrow morning, looking at 43 degrees for the morning low. Our normal low is 39, 37 Friday, 37 again Sunday. So we do have some cold air headed our way behind the front. You can see it's already in the 50s in St. Louis and Memphis, 40s in Denver and in Omaha. And it does look like Friday morning we'll have a decent chance of seeing some frosty conditions, especially from the triangle area north and west. And then Saturday and Sunday, it looks a little bit less likely. Still looking at some of those lows on Sunday morning in the 30s, but you can see just a little patchy area of frost potential. That wind's really going to start to kick in overnight tonight, 25 to 35 miles per hour. That continues Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And here's what it could feel like for us on Friday morning. Boy, this is the coldest model that I've seen for our wind chill for Friday morning so far, but could be mid to upper 20s is the way it feels early Friday morning. And then by the time we get to lunchtime, temperatures will feel warmer. The next morning for Saturday at the Christmas parade, easily feeling like 30 to 35. That wind is really going to be whipping. It will be sunny, but boy, it's going to feel really chilly. So make sure you're well bundled up for the Christmas parade or just turn it on at 9 o'clock. We will have the broadcast right here. We start to warm up some next week. We're going to talk a little bit more about what could happen as we get closer to the Thanksgiving holiday.
And Elizabeth, we do know what's happening there on Fayetteville Street. Officials are holding a news conference about the financing for St. Aug University. Our reporter Destiny Patterson is there, and she'll have more on that coming up in our later newscasts. Hurricanes have intensified by nearly 20 miles per hour in just 4 years. Coming up tonight on WRAL News at 4, we'll explain what's driving the change and why it's making storms harder to predict.
Then on WRAL News at 5, raise a glass for Western North Carolina breweries. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan has a live report from Beer City, USA, as local tap rooms get back in business there. Get ready for a new breed of cat still ahead this noon. A fresh new look signaling the revival of Jaguar.
Also, an annual holiday shopping spree returns to the Raleigh Convention Center. How you can check off your shopping list and help people in our community.
Target missed Wall Street's quarterly earnings expectations despite price cuts on thousands of items and its early holiday sale. The Bullseye retailer missed earnings projections by 20%. Its biggest miss in 2 years. More higher income consumers, Target's traditional audience, were looking for deeper discounts for value as inflation rose. Walmart and other major companies are raising concerns over President-elect Trump's vow to impose major tariffs on imports when he takes office. They're worried about the effect that could have on inflation. Walmart, the nation's largest retailer, suggested in its earnings report prices could increase if tariffs rise. The National Retail Federation says tariffs result in higher prices on clothing, toys, furniture, appliances, and other items where China is a major supplier.
Alex Jones is trying to stop the satirical news outlet The Onion from buying InfoWars. Jones is suing a court-appointed bankruptcy trustee and families of some Sandy Hook victims. He owes nearly $1.5 billion to Sandy Hook victims' families. The offer comes after the parent company of InfoWars was auctioned off last week. Jones calls The Onion's bid non-compliant and alleges collusion. Tom's of Maine says it is working with the FDA to address health violations at a facility in Sanford, Maine. Inspectors found bacteria water used for toothpaste and bacterial growth in a separate toothpaste. The strain of bacteria can infect lungs and blood, and it can be resistant to medication. The FDA also found a black mold-like substance near manufacturing equipment. So far, there are no reports of illnesses or death from using its toothpaste.
Jaguar is leaping into a new era as it looks to compete in the league of Rolls-Royce and Bentley. Jaguar debuted new logos and graphic designs. You see them here, preparing to relaunch itself as an exclusive high-priced luxury EV brand. A new Leaper emulates old Jaguar hood ornaments, but with a more angular appearance of a pouncing cat. A new circular badge featuring a J and an R is meant to give the brand a more British pronunciation of Jaguar. The company sold fewer than 67,000 cars worldwide last year. That's about half of what it sold 4 years ago.
It's a long road to recovery for people in western North Carolina affected by Helene. Up ahead, what lawmakers are doing to get the people in Buncombe County additional assistance.
Well, some say the political climate is forcing them to rethink their holiday plans. Coming up, how to avoid awkward moments over Thanksgiving dinner. And here with your winning lottery numbers, NC Education Lottery on your screen. We'll be right back.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
This rain will continue off and on throughout this afternoon and evening as a cold front crosses our area.
Yeah, not the prettiest of days, but we do need the rain. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center tracking these light showers. We're going to try to squeeze as much as we can out of it.
Absolutely. We're going to take another peek if you're about to head out the door. The rain has tapered off pretty well here in the Triangle, but along and east of I-95, we're still seeing some scattered showers. Also down south as well. So Hoke County, down around Cumberland County. Clinton's been seeing a few showers as well. And we'll head back up Goldsboro, Fremont, Wilson's Mills, Smithfield, seeing just a little bit of light patchy rain. It isn't over. Even though this particular band is moving through, we're still likely to see more scattered rain as we get through the rest of the afternoon, especially around the time of the evening commute and around dinner time. We'll see another wave of just some light patchy rain. Take a look down at Apex, down Salem Street, and it is a bit on the damp side, but the rain has stopped, at least for now. We still do have a chance, again, as I mentioned, around the evening commute through dinner time, about a 40% chance, but it should be over by midnight. We're going to talk more about the cold air that comes in behind this front coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. This morning, Democratic lawmakers from western North Carolina are slamming the latest Hurricane Helene relief bill. The bill does set aside money for western North Carolina, but it also strips power from positions held by Democrats, including the governor and attorney general's offices. WRAL's Eric Miller has been following this for us today. Eric, Democrats have some very specific criticisms of this bill.
Renee, that they do. Democrats, they described this bill as a power grab and one that they say really only moves money around here in Raleigh when you're talking about Helene relief. They say much more needs to be done to provide relief quicker and more specifically to folks there on the ground. The Democrats in this press conference this morning, all of them represent western North Carolina, particularly the area in and around Asheville. And they painted a very dire picture of what things continue to look like on the ground involved there, saying that businesses are still struggling, evictions are on the rise, and if the General Assembly doesn't act soon and more quickly to provide relief and a better kind of relief, many of the key workers that Asheville's businesses depend on may end up just leaving the area. Take a listen.
We are losing our workforce. We are losing our hospitality workforce. We are losing the people who, in my view, make our city run. And when they are gone, they are gone.
Now, again, the bill would set aside $227 million for Helene relief, but provides no specifics or few specifics for the vast majority of that money on when or how it would be spent to help people on the ground in western North Carolina. Now, this is all playing out at the same time that the federal government is also looking at providing more relief for victims of Helene. We know Governor Roy Cooper, as well, is in Washington lobbying for some of that money. We'll be looking at how all of this is coming together to try to help those folks on the ground this afternoon. In Raleigh, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
Department of Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is setting the record straight on how he feels about women in combat.
If I had a message to answer your question to our women, I would tell them that we need you. We have faith in you. We are appreciative of your service, and you add value to the finest and most lethal fighting force on earth.
President-elect Donald Trump's pick for the role, Pete Hegseth, says women should not have combat roles. Hegseth has also raised eyebrows for defending U.S. service members accused of war crimes.
In the aftermath of an intense election season, some Thanksgiving guests may bring up polarizing issues during dinner, and that has many Americans stressed and anxious. There are ways to de-escalate the situations before they become all-out shouting matches. One expert says the key is following the 4 C's to civil discourse.
The first C is be curious. That means assume that you have something to learn from whoever you're talking to. The second is be charitable. That means assuming that who you're talking to has good intentions. The third is be conscientious, which is fairly evaluating reasons and evidence for and against your own view. And be constructive is about aiming toward mutual understanding.
It's important to set boundaries before engaging with others, and you can also opt out of this year's gatherings.
We're getting a clearer view of the scene of a catastrophic explosion at a condominium in Michigan. It happened in Oakland County, north of Detroit. No one was killed, but a man and woman in their 70s were critically injured. The fire chief says it was a gas leak explosion, but they are still investigating. It's believed one person in the building complex one building in that complex, exploded and sparked a fire and then damaged other units. The U.S. Chemical Safety and Hazard Board is headed to the site of a deadly plant explosion in Louisville, Kentucky. The ATF says the explosion that killed 2 people there and injured 11 others was an accident. Now the 6-member team will examine the plant and surrounding neighborhood. They will then make recommendations to labor groups and regulatory agencies.
Starting tonight, a section of I-40 in Durham will close overnight as crews complete preservation work. NCDOT says I-40 West at Fayetteville Road will close tonight and tomorrow night, starting at 11 p.m. to 5 in the morning, weather permitting. That's exit 276, which is also the exit for streets at South Point. Drivers will have to take a detour during those hours.
Still to come this noon, we will introduce you to a Wake County school teacher celebrating a career milestone, what she says is the most rewarding part of teaching.
And as employers come up with perks to retain workers, one that's proving to be popular, paid time off for pet parents. Get breaking news and up-to-the-minute weather right in the palm of your hand. The updated WRAL News app is even easier to navigate. Download the latest version right now.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, back to a story that we brought you at the top of this newscast. Susan Smith, accused of killing her 2 sons back in 1994, is up for parole today in South Carolina. Right now, this is the parole board hearing. That's her ex-husband, David Smith, and his family. I am listening to this, but we also heard Susan speak earlier. She was visibly emotional at this hearing. They were asking her, what would you tell police who searched for your children? She said, I would tell them them. I was just very, very scared. And I am so sorry. I did not know how to tell the people that I loved that I would never see them again, but I know that is not enough. Listen to what she had to say.
And I would give anything if I could go back and change it. And I love Michael and Alice with all my heart.
And then when asked by the court why they think that she'll follow the rules, she says she has learned from her mistake. She has forgiveness in her heart, love in her heart, and she knows that family is very, very important. Again, we are waiting to hear from her ex-husband here, David Smith. As soon as he speaks, and I have an update on that, I'll bring it to you from the Live Center.
And he has been outspoken about saying he does not believe she should be paroled.
Although he has said, he told NBC's Craig Melvin that he does forgive her. Our Teacher of the Week had aspirations of being an international corporate attorney when she started college. Then her journey took a different turn, majoring in Spanish and political science.
WRAL's Ken Smith introduces us to an educator who has been practicing her craft in the classroom for 20 years.
Vamos a empezar con Locotubre y votar.
Suzanne Donders is a Spanish teacher at Apex Friendship High School.
Primero vamos a hacer Locotubre.
Learning a foreign language is difficult enough as it is, made easier though by her approach to teaching.
Come on. Se defina.
Se defina. ¿Cómo se define?
Se defina.
She's saying for her, teaching is about relationships. It's important for her to get to know her students and for them to get to know her.
Cito de la canción. What is this song about?
Donders got her start in teaching through the lateral entry program in Durham and quickly discovered she really enjoys teaching.
I went back and got my master's in teaching. I got my master's in teaching English as a second language and Spanish, and have been teaching ever since.
How many years?
This is year 20.
Donders says the ultimate rewarding part of teaching are those lifelong relationships she's formed with her students over the years that begin with helping her students master a foreign language.
We got to try, we got to take risks. It's through that struggle, through those errors that we really get to being able to communicate.
Ms. Donders.
Hi.
You are WRAL's Teacher of the Week. Give her a hand.
Wow.
Ken Smith, WRAL News.
Mastered that salsa, too. Did you see that little move there? If you'd like to nominate a teacher, you can go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
An annual shopping spree returns just in time for the holidays. After the break, where you can find the latest in fashion, home decor trends, and unique gifts for the holidays.
All right, so which came first, the chicken or the egg? The research that could finally settle a debate for the ages. And we welcome you back this noon with this live look down Fayetteville Street, downtown Raleigh. Not rain falling right now. It'll be spotty around the area this afternoon and evening. As you watch WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
This week, the Junior League of Raleigh returns to the Raleigh Convention Center for its 40th annual shopping spree. So this is a 4-day premier holiday shopping event. It's dedicated to raising money for local nonprofits and the league's signature programs. Joining us to talk about this year's shopping spree are co-captains Morgan Kelly and Emily City. So great to have you guys here. First of all, congratulations, 40th anniversary, a big milestone year. For those who've never been to a shopping spree, while it's in the name, this is a shopping extravaganza. Tell us about the vendors that are there and what people can find.
What to expect? Yeah, so we'll have about 140 vendors this year, covering everything from specialty foods to women's decor, jewelry, home decor, Christmas decorations, some gift for the men in your family, kids' toys. Truly everyone on your shopping list, we've got something for you at Spree.
Yeah, and it's no coincidence that it comes right at the start of the holiday shopping season because you can get gifts for everyone. So not only will there vendors be there, but also there's some entertainment for the shoppers. Tell us about some of that entertainment.
Absolutely. So we'll have a jazz band perform one night. We'll have local ballet and dance companies come in and perform.
We have Santa visiting 2 days during Saturday and Sunday
can you
around
take pictures with
lunchtime.
Santa?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
We encourage it. Anything else?
Yeah, we've got local authors are coming in this year. So we've got 2 authors each day, so you can get your book signed, meet with the authors. So lots of fun special events in addition to just the shopping.
Yep, absolutely.
And Shopping Spree is your signature fundraiser for the year for Junior League. What are some of the local nonprofits that you'll be helping out this year, and where does this money go?
Yeah, so all the money raised stays right here in Wake County. So the Junior League partners with several impressive Wake County nonprofits. You'll probably have known of Green Chair Project and Backpack Buddies.
The Food Bank. Helping Horse, a lot of local organizations, yep.
Yeah, so it all stays right here in Wake County and supports local impactful community work.
Wonderful. And I want to point out the attire here. You'll see the green aprons. When you see folks there at the Shopping Spree, those are the Junior League Raleigh volunteers and members. That'll help direct you to wherever you need to go, right?
That's right. We're here to help you. Just let us know.
What is your favorite part about Shopping Spree?
I just think it's so fun. It gets you in the festive spirit. It's a tradition for a lot of people. I started going with my mom when she was a Junior League member as an annual mother-daughter weekend. I think a lot of people have made it a tradition. It's a fun start to the season.
Absolutely, I agree.
Grab your mom, grab your daughters, your besties, and go hit the Shopping Spree. And we should point out that this year it is back at the Raleigh Convention Center. So in years past, it was over at the State Fairgrounds. This year, back at the Raleigh Convention Center. It starts tomorrow, runs through Sunday. General admission tickets can be purchased at the door for $15, and children ages 10 and under get in free. Each ticket is good for 1 full day of shopping and entertainment. Emily and Morgan, thank you so much for talking to us about this, and thank you to the Junior League for all the wonderful things you do for our community.
Thank you for having us.
Yes,
All right, we'll see you in the Raleigh Christmas Parade.
Yes, spot us in our aprons.
That's right. Elizabeth and Jeff.
Very distinctive in the aprons there. Hey, any weather is good shopping weather, right? Inside, outside, whatever you want to do. But we got that's kind of a blah day out there.
It is. We had some showers. We're not going to be able to squeeze a whole lot of rain out of this. We really need some. It'd be nice if we could, get an inch of rain out of this, but it's probably going to end up being somewhere around a quarter to maybe a half in some spots. Look at this gorgeous tree that's sitting here in front of the legislative building. Isn't that pretty? I noticed that some of the trees that line our driveway here at WRAL looking really pretty right now as well. So still seeing a lot of nice color out there, even if we're dealing with gray skies and some light showers. We'll take another look at the rain. Looking at some rain right now in Moore County, down around Fayetteville. The rain that was in some of our eastern counties has really shifted eastward. We had some rain at the beginning of the newscast there in Edgecombe County. That's pretty much over. A sprinkle or two in Goldsboro, over around Dunn, Wade, down into Cumberland County, and then back over towards Southern Pines, Carthage, and Hoke County as well. That's really where our rain is right now. Widen out the view one more time, taking a look at where the front is. That front's getting a little bit closer to the Triad area. Once the front slips on by us, we'll start to see colder air spilling in, and the wind is going to start to pick up. It's really going to feel pretty winter-like for us tomorrow, as well as Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday. After that, we're going to see a nice little warm-up to the beginning of next week. Here's a look at 9 p.m. You can see some scattered showers, cold front moving through around 9 to 10 p.m. And then after that, we start to see some clearing. Again, just kind of minuscule amounts of rain out of this. There were some spots back to our west that looked like they were going to see maybe as much as a half an inch of rain. But how about we talk about some other totals? Check this out. I always get excited about this. We haven't seen snow here in over 1,000 days, but the mountains, may get a little kickstart to the ski season. A lot of those resorts really like to open Thanksgiving weekend if possible, and it's not always possible, but 1 to 3 inches along the mountains of North Carolina, and there are winter weather advisories in effect there. And then look at that pink area. Technically that puts us at 18 inches. And so those ski resorts there in West Virginia are probably super happy about that. For us around here, it's going to be sunny, but chilly and windy. Winds gusting 25 to 35 Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And we take a look at our hour-by-hour wind chill and how that drops today. So at 7 o'clock, we're still feeling pretty good at around 60. This is our feels-like temperature. By midnight, it feels like 43. And if you're headed out the door tomorrow morning around 6 or 7 a.m., it's going to feel like 37. This morning it felt like 65. Tomorrow morning feeling like 37. Big changes. And then Friday and Saturday morning it will feel like the low 30s right around 7 a.m. in Boone, feeling like 14. You know, that always makes you feel better, doesn't it? You know, it's always considerably colder in Boone. Speaking of colder, make sure you're bundled up for the Christmas parade. Of course, our broadcast, if you want to stay warm and snuggled up at home, begins right here at 9 a.m. But if you're headed out, we will see lots of sunshine. Just make sure you are bundled up. Tree lightings on Saturday evening around 6 to 7 o'clock. Temperatures will be in the mid-40s, clear skies, but still, you know, a little bit on the breezy side. And then we look ahead to next week. Sorry, that's supposed to read the 20th through the 25th of November. But looking like we're going to have some wet conditions develop next week as we get into the Thanksgiving week, and of course above average temperature. So right now our sneak peek at Thanksgiving looking like 60s, but at the moment it looks like our rain chance may be fairly low, but later in the weekend, that's way down, you know, like past here into the weekend, it may be a little bit wet. So that's something that we'll be watching for the Thanksgiving week.
Will do, Elizabeth. Thank you so much.
And which came first, the chicken or the egg? How a team of researchers says it has solved the mystery.
We'll find out what that is. Here's a look at your winning Mega Millions numbers. 5, 35, 50, 51, 59. The Mega Ball is 8. The Mega Plier is 4. We wrap things up with a look at a few of the headlines we're following for you today. This year's Raleigh Christmas Parade is just 3 days away, and we are learning about a new mandatory waiver for participants. Every single participant in this year's parade has to sign a waiver where it says the individual, their child, or really anyone connected to them cannot sue the city if they're injured or killed in the parade. Haley Brooks was killed 2 years ago yesterday when she was hit by a truck in the parade. Her family has filed a lawsuit against a number of different parties.
Breaking news just moments ago, we learned Susan Smith was denied parole. That decision from the parole board just in. Nearly 30 years after she was convicted of drowning her 2 boys in South Carolina. Smith is serving life in prison after a jury decided not to sentence her to death in her 1995 murder trial. Under the law at the time, she is eligible to ask to be released after serving 30 years in prison. And again, parole denied for Susan Smith.
House Bill 10 is 1 vote away from becoming law. The measure would clear 54,000 students from a wait list to use a voucher to attend private schools. The state Senate is expected to follow the lead of the Republican-controlled House. Lawmakers voted 72 to 44 to override Democratic Governor Roy Cooper's veto. Cooper and critics argue the money could pay for operating costs in rural areas as well as teacher salaries.
Researchers in Switzerland say they know the answer to this question. Are you ready for this? Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Researchers examined a single-celled organism that seemed to give clues into animal embryonic development. The team found that genetic machinery that creates eggs existed for over 1 billion years prior to the emergence of animals. In other words, the egg, Jeff, came before the chicken.
That was my guess. Here's Dora, our pet of the day, and check her out. This is an adorable 2-year-old, always on a mission to discover the world around her. If you're looking for a gentle companion to join you in your adventures, well, then it is Zuzu right there. It'd be the perfect match for her. She'd love to have a forever home with her sister Janie as well.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.